I have over 40 fruit trees on my 1/3 acre property, but if I had to slim it down to only 5, these are the ones I'd choose. Juice. We'll kick it off with a classic, but this variety is a bit unique of this fruit. These leaves here aren't diseased, they're just variegated. This is the pink lemonade lemon, but of course you could grow the Meyer lemon, you could grow the Eureka lemon. We have a whole video on cold hardy citrus. If you're thinking, hey, I can't grow that in my climate, I've seen people grow lemons specifically on New York balconies throughout the winter. Of course, they'll take it in the winter and they'll bring it back out. But lemons are probably the most versatile fruit when it comes to cooking because of their application across almost any type of cuisine. And they're not that difficult to grow. Of course, in a warm climate, outdoors, in a colder climate, you can put them in a container, wrap them up even in the winter, or bring them indoors, put them under some lights, put them in a garage. It works pretty well. I've seen a bunch of people do it all the way down to a zone 5 or 6. It's just the colder you go, the more care you have to take to get these lemons. Okay, next up is that juicy boy that I was sinking my teeth into in the beginning of the video. But you don't have to grow a peach, you just have to grow some kind of stone fruit. So a peach, a nectarine, a plum. I prefer a peach because to me it's the most classic stone fruit I like to taste the most. As far as varieties go, there are so many out there. You're gonna wanna get one. With stone fruit especially, it's a chill hour thing. So a lot of these trees need a certain amount of hours below about 45 degrees Fahrenheit per year. So in my climate, I'm growing ones that have a low chill hour requirement because it doesn't get that cold here. In your climate, if you're in a colder one, then you actually have more fruit that you can choose from because there are so many varieties that require a bit more cold throughout the year. This one's called Eva's Pride. There's all sorts of different ones out there. But whenever you're growing these, you can see I've sort of made a mistake this year. I have too many peaches, which you might say, how could that possibly be a mistake? Well, it's because I'm actually probably not gonna get these all to fully fruit, so I probably should have thinned some of these off. Like maybe this guy here, I would have wanted to twist that one off. I did a little bit of this in the early pruning phase when the buds were just starting to form. I would prune off the actual stem itself to prevent any of those buds, of course, that I chopped off from generating a fruit. But it looks like I didn't do a good enough job. So there's a lot of interesting pruning tips I'll share, especially when we get to our next pick. Okay, this next one took me a while to figure out how to grow, at least in my climate. I know a lot of you who watch Epic Gardening videos say, oh, it must be so easy to grow in San Diego. And you're right, there's a lot of stuff that's easy, but you guys in colder climates have a much easier time with the peaches I just mentioned, as well as this beautiful fruit right here, an apple. I have a confession to make though. Something about the texture of an apple skin rubs me the wrong way. If anyone else agrees with me, let me know in the comments because everyone here at Epic thinks I'm crazy for saying that. But apples are versatile whether you like to eat them fresh with the skin on or not. Applesauce, apple cobbler, apple pie, a million different things that you can do. There's about 2 varieties I could successfully grow here. This is Dorset Golden. There's another one called Anna, but again, those of you in colder climates can grow pretty much any apple you want. The thing that's really important with apples, you want to make sure you get the right rootstock for your climate. So take a look at that when you're at the nursery. It should say it on the label. And then you also want to prune these pretty aggressively. We had a video out with Tom Spellman, legendary fruit grower on our Epic Homesteading channel, where he went through and he showed exactly how to prune an apple. We'll leave that in the description if you want to check it out. But it takes a little bit to get these guys set up. I've had the apple for as long as I've had the peach, and the apple is a lot smaller, probably because of my climate, but also because I think it's just a bit of a slower grower than something like a peach. But as you can tell right now, it is looking pretty thick. I'm getting spiked in the back by this next pick. It is the Wonderful Pomegranate. And I do mean wonderful because this variety right here is called Wonderful, and this one over here is called Parfionca. Now, this is one that does require about a zone 7B plus, but if you're in a cold climate and you want to try to pull it off, there's a variety called Nana that grows in containers that I think might make sense for you. Try it. Let me know down in the comments if it works. You might have to baby it a little bit, but this is one of the coolest fruits out there from a health perspective, absolutely a nutrition powerhouse. It's delicious. It's also very satisfying from a gardener's perspective on how it grows because you can prune it as a bush like I've done here, Or I could take some of these stems that are coming out of the ground and isolate to one stem and just grow it as a tree. I actually stayed at an Airbnb in LA and I saw someone growing a pomegranate as a tree, just like one big ball at the top of a main stem, which is really unique. And they flower in a very interesting way as well. I've got a couple young pomegranates right here. This is one of those guys that will come to fruition in the fall. Actually, like September through November, you should start to see some pomegranates come out. It's a pest and disease resistant plant though. Pest resistant because I'm literally getting spiked in the back. I'll probably have scratches in my back after this. And disease resistant because there's really not a whole lot that wants to attack this type of plant. So I highly recommend pomegranates. It's probably one of the more satisfying harvests you'll ever have from your orchard. I'm in the greenhouse right now in a green stalk vertical planter, growing probably the most accessible fruit on this list, and that would be strawberries. Now there's a lot to know about strawberries, but to keep it simple, two major types, June bearing, ever bearing. If you're a beginner, grow June bearing. The name says it all. Most of them will fruit in June. And what they like to do is throw these things out right here called runners. So if you grow them in a vertical system or in a container, these runners won't start to spread and propagate all over the place. Now, if you're growing in a bed, you might actually want that to happen. I have a couple strawberry beds where I want the runners to kind of propagate across, and then over the years, those will be my new strawberry plants. The other thing to know is that early on, if you're planting them out, let's say February, March, April, and they start to flower early, I like to remove those flowers, let them put out a little bit more of this green growth, and then around May, I'll let all those flowers go, and then I'll get all my big strawberries. Think about it, you're creating more energy for those strawberries to mature, instead of having the plant trying to force one out earlier in the season. If you are interested in getting some of these varieties delivered right to your door, shop.epicgardening.com. We actually have, I think, over 100 varieties of fruit trees we will ship directly to you now. So check those out. A lot of people are loving them, especially some of you in the comments have mentioned that they've been growing wonderfully for you. So thanks for grabbing those. And then if you want to see how to grow citrus from start to finish, check this video out right here. I'll see you next time. Good luck in the garden and keep on growing.